Okay, welcome everyone. So we have a couple more people joining us. Let's go ahead and start. Welcome to the first class of 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a wonderful holidays. So last time we met, I think it was December 20th, we had decided to postpone the reading of chapter 8, Mudra Yoga Methods of Pranic Manipulation, until today. I hope everyone had a chance to review chapter 8 over the break and put some questions together. I know last time I said I wasn't going to read it word for word, but I decided to, I will go ahead and read it, the whole thing, but I'll skip the definitions at the bottom and let you guys go back and review that on your own, or hopefully you've already had a chance to do so. And that, once we've completed this chapter 8, that should be, it'll complete our little study on prayer. I'm hoping that this chapter will generate a lot more questions and discussions to the subject, as well as some of the other points that are brought up in this chapter regarding Mudra Yoga and the different and the many other subjects brought up here. But first, we'll start off with our open discussion period. Any questions that you have, you can feel free to ask them in the chat if you're joining us via YouTube, or you can use the raise hand feature to ask your questions audibly on Zoom, or you can ask questions in the chat there as well. We will address those questions. So let's open up with a prayer for the spiritual workers, and then we'll open the floor for questions. Can everyone see the prayer and hear me all right? Am I coming in okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. Okay. So do we have any questions? You'll have to forgive me because I'm bouncing back and forth between a single monitor. So it may look a little crazy on your end. Actually, let me stop the share. That should be better. this? All right, do we have any questions? All right, well, if we don't have any questions, then I'll just go into reading the chapter. And we'll look at the questions as they come along. So this chapter, this text can be found in the shared folder. There should be a link to it in the description on YouTube. are also in the invite email that you received either from MeetUp or directly from us. But if you don't have it, I'll post it in the chat. Give me a second. Okay, so if you'll see a link to the shared Google Drive folder. And this text is titled, it's a PDF document titled Chapter 8, Mudra Yoga, Methods of Pranic Manipulation. Let's go ahead and start on page 2. Mudra Yoga is known as the yoga of mystic hand signs, body gestures, and postures that man uses to help seal and redirect the cosmic energies within the physical body and subtler bodies. Mudra Yoga is an advanced form of yoga that helps the practitioner of the Mudra Technique to create a link between the physical body, the energy bodies, and the mental bodies with the subtle sealing, redirecting, and redistributing of the subtle flows of energies within the body's and auric structure. This yoga is built on the known metaphysical science of 1, the Kundalini power within the body, 2, the 108 chakras within the human structure, and 3, the Nadi system that uses 242,000 Nadi pathways to distribute the sacred power of Kundalini throughout the body and auric structures. The power of Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness for man's soul. It is the sacred nectar of the chakra bindu. The definition is in the subtext. And sweet sounds of the vibrating nada that rings from the bindu through and from the bijas of the chakras. As stated in earlier chapters, the soul is that part of man that was directed by the spirit of man eons ago to shape and mold the Shakti power into a force that can be pushed down the Brahma Nadi of Sushumna. Then it is shaped, molded, and wrapped into the 3.5 knot called Kundalini, which is used as a power center / vehicle of consciousness that radiates a small percentage of its power through and around the Nadi pathways, using the chakras as intersection points to create various levels of consciousness. The origination point of these nadis is at the base of the spine. It starts from subtle auric structure and works its way up to the gross physical body. The base of spine chakra is the seat of Kundalini, and it is where the nada vibrations radiates from the Kundalini and gives life to Ida and Pingala nadis within the body and auric bodies. These nadis carries the subtle energies throughout the bodies that form the energy patterns and that become the intelligent energy patterns for consciousness that the soul of man works and operates through. It is the background force of the etheric bodies, the mental bodies, pranic bodies, astral bodies, and gross physical bodies. Mudra Yoga is a sacred science like Mantra Shastra. In fact, Mudra Yoga is the result of Mantra Sastra. Tantra and Mantra Sastra tells us that when the practitioner of mantra have greatly indulged himself into mantra japa to the point that he has gained the great visions and have achieved kilaka, where he or she has unlocked the key of mantra. At this point, the mantra yogi learns the mudra yoga secrets hidden deep in the root of the mantra bijas. Mantra yoga is that power that gives birth to mudra yoga. Okay. So in those couple of paragraphs, if you remember back to the diagrams where we looked at the auric structure, we looked at the nadis, we looked at the flows of prana represented in the bodies, and we looked at the 7 major centers traveling along Sushumna, represented along the spine pictographically. And this goes into a lot more information about that. Okay, page 3. See if we have any questions. Okay. Mudra Yoga enhances your attitude by bringing about a clearer level of concentration and increases your sensory perception. In this chapter, we will go into this subject of Mudra Yoga briefly in order to show the usefulness of this ancient metaphysical science in regards to our analogy of the mystic form of prayer. Excuse me. My goal here, excuse me, my goal here is to show how the Mudra Yoga techniques adapted for this prayer technique is a huge added value, an essential part to making it an effective prayer technique that brings about tremendous results. There wasn't much known about metaphysical science of Mudra Yoga in the Western world until the late 19th century and early 20th century, when the Eastern masters of yoga from India and Tibet began to release their ancient teachings to the Western world. Once this material was made available to the Western world, it was mass-produced and distributed throughout the Western societies. Although the teachings were diluted, exposed this part of the world with at least fragments of the ancient metaphysical teachings. Mudra Yoga is a form of yoga that is practiced with all the major yoga systems. Hatha Yoga uses mudras to strengthen the physical body and to allow a free flow of prana between the physical and subtle physical realms. Bhakti Yoga uses mudras to channel, generate, and project devotional pranas, cosmic energies, of love and cosmic energies of service. Raja Yoga uses mudras to assist in bringing about control over the mental faculties. Mantra Yoga uses mudras to channel energies through psychic, subtle, and gross matter. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Kriya Yoga, and Tantra Yoga use pranayama mudra techniques to channel energies towards enhancing consciousness. Kundalini Yoga uses Mudra Yoga to seal and lock the flow of pranas in the body while pushing it and directing it in one direction with concentration, contemplation, and meditation in order to move consciousness from a lower level to a higher level and back to the original level. Karma Yoga is the yoga of divine laws in action and service. Karma Yoga and Mudra Yoga are constantly intertwined. Karma Yoga is all about making the right actions that bring about the right results that propel a person forward. Dr. George King stated that karma is a pressure towards conformity of or with the divine laws. Everything in manifestation is within this all-pervasive framework of karmic laws, divine laws of God, that act as a pressure within creation to preserve and maintain the law that pushes all manifested life and so-called non-life towards a predetermined goal. Therefore, all life actions are karmic actions, and all movement is a series of mudras bringing about the necessary karmic actions needed to progress life. Therefore, karma yoga and mudra yoga are intertwined. I kind of want to highlight that, but I'll keep going. The 5 groups of mudra yoga. The following are the five major groups. I'm sorry, did someone say something? No, okay. The following are 5 major groups of mudras designed to manipulate the subtle pranas of the body by sealing, redirecting, redistributing, and projecting the subtle energies or pranas, which result in elevating the pranas to higher levels of operations of conscious awareness. Number 1, Hasta Mudras, or hand mudras. These types of mudras primarily use the hands to manipulate the flow of subtle pranas within the human body. The hands are normally used to seal, redirect, redistribute, and project subtle pranas of the body. It is usually used to redirect the flow of pranas back into the body and to heighten the level of consciousness. Mana mudras, or head mudras. These mudras, the mudras that are used with the head, are usually used in techniques to heighten the power of Kundalini within the body. The mudra technique utilizes the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and lips. There's actually an example of this mudra given in the Serpent Power book. And then another text as well. I think Mr. Davis gives us an example of lion mudra technique. Kaya mudras, or postural mudras. These mudra practices of kaya utilize the full physical body in various postures combined with breathing, pranayama, and concentration techniques. Bandha, or lock mudras. The mudra practices of bandha are techniques that lock the body in various positions in order to redirect and redistribute pranas along and up and down specific channels to get rid of subtle blockages and increasing the pranic flow to allow an indirect or direct consciousness awakening of Kundalini with constant practice. Adhara mudras, or perennial mudras. These techniques of Mudra Yoga deal with redirecting pranas operating in the lower chakra regions to upper chakra regions towards the brain, stimulating the higher chakras and purifying the lower chakras, allowing man to reach higher states of consciousness. Most knowledge on Mudra Yoga is secret and is not allowed to the general public and is only given through initiation. Mudra Yoga techniques are very potent and yield fast results. This is why the majority of the knowledge is kept secret and away from the public. Most of the mudras that are secret are those mudras that work along with mantras in some type of ancient ritual that give man access to a tremendous amount of raw Shakti, or power, for short periods of time to perform a task or mission of some type. Being that I was born into a family that studied and practiced ancient metaphysical techniques of this caliber, I witnessed many miraculous events brought about by the power of mudras. I also heard stories of miraculous events from eyewitness accounts, such as mudras being used to turn away a tornado that was about to land on an impoverished neighborhood. Something that I witnessed as a child as unbelievable as this. May I say I have witnessed the power of Mudra Yoga in full effect. Mudra Yoga is not just a series of hand gestures. It is a sacred science of yoga that allows man to tap into a tremendous amount of subtle pranas. After witnessing this power of Mudra Yoga, I made a request to my father, who I witnessed use this great power and had the knowledge of this sacred metaphysical science of Mudra Yoga, to teach me. This chapter on prana and Mudra Yoga is a result of him teaching me on this most sacred and misunderstood subject of Mudra Yoga, and also me conducting a detailed study on this subject for a number of years. In the practice of Mudra Yoga, the whole body, mind, and soul are used in the technique. The fingers, hands, and arms positions are the main focus of Mudra Yoga. The head, legs, breath, and right mental visualization is also used in the Mudra Yoga techniques. The reason why the main focus is placed on the fingers, hands, and arm positions is that the hands are linked to at least 5 of the major chakras along the spinal column through a nodic flow of pranas. The Udana prana is that power used by mind, or the mind, to create patterns of expression. The flow of Udana prana enters the throat chakra and is centrally located within the throat chakra and travels through the head, arms, and legs to create patterns of expression. Udana prana is the aspect of prana that expresses the conscious patterns of mental and vital levels of prana. The Udana pranas also represents the Akasha element, cosmic element, which is the carrying agent for all pranas. It purifies prana and mind in order to project it to the perspective level or realm of operation. This can be seen in how we move mental thoughts to voice, and how we perceive and receive sound or speech from something or someone and make it a part of our mental makeup. Okay, let me stop there to see if we have any questions. I don't want that there. Are there any questions so far? Okay, I'll keep going. The mudra power of each finger. Each finger is not only a link to the chakras, but also to the flow of the 5 major pranas that flow through the subtle bodies via the nadi system and the chakra system. The fingers and hands also represent the cosmic bhutas, the ancient earth elements of the universe. It also represents the first 5 major chakras along the spinal column, starting from the base chakra, that's the Muladhara chakra, up to the throat chakra. In the center of the hands are also a major chakra, or also major chakras, which are surrounded with a number of minor and minute chakras, which are located in the fingers. We estimate that there are over 20 chakras within the hands, which is a massive designation point for mental and vital energies to express itself in many ways. This can be seen in man's works of arts, his engineering capacity, thousands of crafts, scientific and philosophical achievements of the human race. The ability of man's strategic maneuvering of his arms and hands in order to respond to and express the will of mental and vital commands of his consciousness. During the actual technique of the mudras, the arms are used to align the fingers and hands with the flow of pranas and the mental projections emerging from the major chakras along the spinal column. The following table shows the finger relationships to the earth elements, tattvic pranic states, 5 major pranas, and the associated chakras with each particular finger. Table 12, the pranic formation within hands and the fingers. So first step is the thumb. That is representative element is earth or solid. Tattvic pranic state is prithivi. The prana is apana. Associated chakra is the muladhara, or the base of the spine. Next is the index finger. Element is water, liquid. Tattvic pranic state is apas. Prana is dhyana. The chakra is svadhisthana, or the sex center. Next is the middle finger, and it is fire. Pranic state is tejas. Major prana is samana. Associated chakra, manipura, the solar plexus. Next is the ring finger, which is air. Pranic state is vayu. The major prana is prana, associated with the anahata chakra, or the heart center. And finally, the little finger, that is ether. Pranic state is akasha. The major prana, udana. Associated chakra is vishuddha, or the throat chakra. You may see this laid out differently in other texts, but Mr. Davis got this directly from the source, and can actually point you directly to that source if you want more information on that. But this is the proper layout of the pranas and the elements with the fingers. Most of the more popular Hasta Mudra Yoga literature on this subject gets the above arrangement of this energy formation of the fingers wrong. Okay, there you go. I cannot give you a definite reason why the misinformation is so popular. What I could help with is the simple and logical reasoning why the above table is correct. The thumb is the thickest finger and therefore represents gross solidness of the earth element. The next is indexed, and where the earth is where you find water, the 2 main elements. Or where there is earth, you find water, the 2 main elements, excuse me. The middle finger on the hand is the longest finger and represents the 3rd element of fire as the top of the flame. The ring finger, a fitting position for the element of air, and the little finger is ether or space. Now let us look at the logic of this arrangement. The key to understanding the alignment is reviewing it in reverse. Ether creates space and consciousness. Air feeds consciousness in manifestation. Air or oxygen also feeds fire. Now, ether, air, and fire are the subtle forces behind water and earth. From the synchronization of these cosmic elements, the soul manifests its consciousness on the lower realms of existence. It uses ether, air, fire to mold and shape the basic elements of water, mental energies, and earth, gross vital energies, to build its various vehicles of expression. The following is a little more insight into the energy configuration of the hand and fingers. Okay. So any questions so far? No? Okay. energy configuration of the fingers for mudras. The thumb, its subtle energies and etheric elements. The thumb is also the most used finger on the hands. Physical scientists believe that the thumb is that single attribute which separates man from apes. In the mystic world, the thumb represents the gross, subtle energy flow of the body. The thumb radiates the subtle apana pranas, which is centrally located at the base of the spine center or Mudra chakra. The apana pranas move up from the Mudra chakra to the solar plexus center, where it intermingles with the other four subtle pranas, which are the Samana prana located at the solar plexus, prana that moves down from the heart center, the Vyana prana that moves up from the sex center to pervade the whole body, and the Udana prana that moves from the throat and head region to the arms and legs. The thumb represents the Prithivi Mahabhutas, Mahabhutas, cosmic elements, and gross physical substance, which connects us to the solid energy patterns of Earth. The thumb also represents the physical and subtle start of consciousness and the vehicle of consciousness, which makes the thumb the trigger force for the 5 pranas, the cosmic elements, and the 5 chakras along the spinal column. This is why in most Hasta Mudras, the thumb is used to trigger, to harness, to seal, and restrict the pranas and bhutas and 5 associated chakras. On a purely physical level, you can see the energy configuration produced from the use of the thumb, giving man the ability to use intricate tools to develop instruments that expresses man's intelligence. The thumb represents gross consciousness of man, which is the conscious mind, the unconscious portion of mind, and the subtle conscious and the subconscious mind that take care of the involuntary functions. So in other words, in most of the mudras that were given and shown, with the exception of the prayer mudra, what he's saying is why the thumb is used to connect with the various fingers and as it is used as a triggering mechanism. The index finger, its subtle energies and etheric elements. The second finger, index finger, this finger, sorry, is the most flexible finger, which moves in conjunction with the thumb and most other fingers. It is the sustaining force on the hand. Therefore, the second finger represents the water, the most flexible and sustaining substance on earth. The second finger is the expression of the Vyana prana, which gathers in the sex center and moves throughout the entire body, irrigating the subtle bodies with its subtle cosmic bhutas, apas, or cosmic water. The index finger is aligned with the sex center, or Svadhisthana chakra. With this finger, we can tap into the mental realm of consciousness. It is here where consciousness resides. To control the energy flow of this point, one gains power over basic mental faculties. The moon rules the mental realms, and it rules the waters of earth with its invisible magnetic power that allows the low and high tides of earth's bodies of waters. The index finger embodies the lines of force of the mental realms where the subconscious mind and conscious mind resides. The Vyana prana travels from the sex center Svadhisthana chakra through the conjunction points in the solar plexus region and throughout all the central locations of all the major pranas, bringing the cosmic energy patterns of consciousness to all parts of the body. So if you were given the mudra that we use when we're practicing mantra japa, this passage should give you a lot of insight into why we use that particular mudra. Right. Excuse me, let me silence my phone. Are there any questions so far? Okay. The middle finger, its subtle energies and etheric elements. The third finger, middle finger, is the longest finger on the hand. This is the fire, this is the finger of fire, heat, and light. It resembles a flame that always reaches up. And when looking at the hand, this finger is the longest or tallest finger, representing and symbolizing the nature of that fiery flame. Therefore, the middle finger represents fire, which is also the expression of samana prana that radiates throughout the body. The middle finger is linked with the solar plexus center, or Manipura chakra. The middle finger, point of power that man can connect to, is the samana pranas, the Tijas bhutas, the 10 chakra petals, and the 52 tattvic rays of power. Agni power helps to transform solids and purifies solids into subtle pranas. This solidifies pranas into many forms of matter: subtle invisible radiant matter, gaseous matter, liquid matter, cellular type of matter, tissue type of matter, organized cellular tissues as organ matter that is heavy laced with instinctive mental energy, and it transforms systems which a combination of organs under instinctive and intellectual mental energies. The control of this line of force gives one the power of modifying prana and matter, and the power building from within. Yes, Rich, as we, in a diagram prior, we showed the middle finger represents fire and is tied to the solar plexus. Again, this text is chapter 8 of the Mudra Yoga Methods of Prana Manipulation. It is in the shared Google Drive folder. You can access it by clicking on the link in the chat or on the description, in YouTube. The ring finger, its subtle energies and etheric elements. The fourth finger, the ring finger, is the second largest finger on the hand. It is the finger of air, the cosmic element Vayu Mahabhutas. The sunlight shines down on Earth and its reflected light towers over the Earth, creating layers of atmosphere with a series of air bubbles with different thickness. The air that we live and move and have our being within. Therefore, it's only fitting that the fourth finger is slightly smaller than the fire finger, which represents the reflected light of the earth. This finger of air is aligned with the heart chakra, or Anahata chakra, where the major Mahabhutas Vayu manifests itself as prana and moves down to the Manipura chakra and back up to the Anahata chakra. These points of energies within the lines of force connected to the fourth finger powers the psychic heart, which powers the lungs, and the lungs power the physical heart, which feeds the body and consciousness through the actions of the prana, and Vayu Bhutas, Vyana Prana, Apas Bhutas, pervading the entire body. The little finger, its subtle energies and etheric elements. The last and fifth finger, the little finger, is the smallest finger on the hand and represents the subtlest Mahabhutas of all akasa or ether, the etheric sound. Akasa is the carrying agent for all manifested matter and prana. It is that energy component that shapes and molds energy. Akasa is the thing that creates the conduit to allow energy to exist and move. Therefore, all space is akasa, and all objects are encased in akasa. Akasa is nada. Akasa is Shakti. Akasa is the universal power of mind. Akasa is cosmic wisdom, Vijnana. And Akasa is the preservational power of love. The fifth finger also represents the subtle major prana called Udana Prana. This powerful, subtle Udana Prana is centrally located and radiates from the throat center or Vishuddha chakra and travels from there to the head, arms, hands, and legs, giving power to consciousness, speech, and intelligent movement. It is also fitting that Udana Prana and Akasa is radiated from the throat center, being that it is the vortex point of purification, which brings about translation of all power that passes through this point. Okay. Second. Chakras in the hands. On top of all of this, there's a major chakra located in the center of the hand, which is rarely mentioned by most teachers unless they're advocating some type of pranic healing or prana manipulation through the hands. As you can see, the hands are the conversion points of many different levels of vital energies and mental energies. In the world of physical science, it recognizes the formation and development of the hands to be the instrument that actually separates man from apes and monkeys. The development of man's thumbs on the hands allowed him to tap into higher levels of his consciousness. This led to him producing more advanced tools, which further led to more complex machinery and delicate instruments with intricate and more complex thought processes. Man's use of the thumbs demonstrated that due to his ability to manipulate intricate tools, allow him to investigate his environment more and the objects within the environment in a detailed fashion. The physical scientists do not differ too much from the metaphysical science on this subject, because we also believe that man's development of the hands and extremities has helped to awaken man's consciousness. Tantra teachings would describe the hand centers as a compaction and conversion of Shakti powers. A series of major, minor, and minute chakras are located within the hands. The vortex energies entering and exiting this cluster of centers are connected to all parts of the gross and subtle bodies. The hands are a physical triggering mechanism for increasing the flow of prana, decreasing the flow of prana, and sealing the flow of prana, all within the physical and subtle bodies. The hands are also a triggering mechanism for manipulating the flow of prana entering and exiting the chakras, also sealing and redirecting the flow of pranas through the chakras. As stated earlier, Mudra Yoga uses the extremities by applying various degrees of pressure on the body to read the flow of cosmic energies within the body. The main extremities used in most mudras are the arms and hands. The positioning of the arms seems to tap into different levels and frequencies of pranic flow radiating from the earth, sun, and moon via the psychic centers, chakras. The hands are used to trigger the flow of pranas or to seal the flow of prana. It also could be used to restrict a pranic flow while redirecting the pranic flow and increasing the projection of the pranic flow elsewhere. Essentially, the arms are aligned with the hands and the stream of pranic flow radiating from or towards the psychic centers or major chakras along the spine. This is done with a series of mudras that manipulates the 5 major pranas. With the science of Mudra Yoga, concentration, visualization, and pranayama, massive amounts of cosmic energies prana can be manipulated to bring about all types of resources by imposing purpose and direction on the prana being manipulated. Okay. Yes, lady, healing is, I forgot what I was going to say, is healing is one of the uses of mudra pranayama. Um, and teach as well. And is also used in Reiki. Okay, the source and flow of prana for earth or terrestrial man. The ancient teachings of Tantra Yoga speaks of 5 major pranas that radiates from the sun through a sonic vibrational power that pushes these pranas from the solar logos, the sun, in a cycle of every 32 minutes. The pranas are radiated from the sun every 32 minutes, and one of the 5 pranas dominates the pranic wave in another cycle for about 3 hours. Each one of these pranas dominates the wave for about 3 hours, allowing its qualities to manifest the subject it's radiating. This cycle repeats itself throughout the day, week, month, and years. This cycle of pranic flow is the sustaining power for all persons, places, and things in manifestation. In advanced pranayama, the yogis are taught to harness these pranas by intoning mantras while using mudras and pranayama techniques to sensitize the body and mind and the all-pervasive natural flow of pranas and mind substance. This gives him the ability to pull on large quantities of prana and use it for specific purposes. Let us look closely at this ancient science briefly. In order to bring some type of clarity to this complex subject that's been overlooked and understated in the public tantric science. Thousands of years ago, the masters of this yoga science knew and understood that the sun of this solar system was the main source of power for all life in the system. These great elevated beings who hold the titles of Master, Seer, Mahadevata, and many more titles of wisdom describe the sources of power that rain down from the mighty sun to become the building blocks of our past, present, and future civilizations. They wrote in the ancient text that the sun was the god of the solar system, and it is a living, great being far beyond our understanding of description. This mighty being called the sun uses its great godlike body and its godlike powers and its position in the cosmos to pull down the great Shakti power from the absolute, the supreme God source. Then the mighty sun conditions the Shakti power to the right karmic specification in order to create the planets and give the life-giving powers to the lower life forms that take up residence on these planets. The sun releases the creative word or words that projects waves of massive subtle energies, which creates a blanket of tattvic matter that all the planets, moons, and meteorites reside within. The tattvic matter or rays being radiated from the sun is one of the primary sources for building and modifying the subtle and gross substances and matter of the solar system, whether it's the five major pranas, the etheric realms, the mental realms, the astral realms, or the gross physical realms. Within this tattvic matter is the Mahabhutas, or cosmic elements of the universe that give us the character, identity, and unique inherent qualities which are described as Akasa, Vayu, Agni, Apas, and Prithivi. The following is a little more on the Mahabhutas. Let me check the chat really quick. Okay. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we'll get those answered for you as we go along. The five major bhutas, or cosmic elements. Number one, Akasa. Akasa is described as etheric, sound, and space. The cosmic element that creates the space and the conduit for all manifested energies and matter in the universe. It is the carrying agent for the four other Mahabhutas. One of the most important aspects of Akasa is that it is described as etheric sound, which indicates that it is part of the original Nada wave that's strung from Shiva, the Absolute, to configure the Shakti power into creation. It can be said that all manifested creation is Akasa and Shakti, because it carries the express will of the Absolute to shape and mold Shakti power into the mental realms, the etheric realms, the astral realms, and the gross physical realms throughout the universe. Vayu, number two, Vayu. Vayu is etheric air, the cosmic element that holds the unique qualities and power of air throughout the universe. This power of Vayu Bhutas also expresses the power of movement. It is the locomotion power of the Bhutas. Therefore, Vayu Bhuta, the Vayu Bhuta aspect is that driving creative flow of massive forces that act as a wave encased in the initial etheric sound called Akasa to its states of involution and evolutional states. Number three, Agni, or Tijas. Agni is the cosmic element of etheric light and fire. This aspect of the Mahabhutas wave is the Agni Bhutas, and it holds the power of expansion and transformation. The power of light produced by Agni Bhutas expands the reach and activity of manifested creative wave of the Mahabhutas. It holds the power of sight for consciousness. The fire of Agni Bhutas brings about the power transformation of energies and matter. It allows subtle matter to transform into gross matter, and gross matter to be transformed back into subtle matter. You have Akasa that forms the intelligent framework of creation that all things are manifested within. Then you have Vayu that feeds off the intelligent framework of Akasa and introduces the power of movement through cosmic etheric air, which moves massive waves of creative power through the universe, and the locomotive move brings forward heat that introduces the etheric fire. Number 4, Apas. Apas is etheric water, the cosmic element of liquid. It is the cosmic power for sustaining life, the cosmic nourishment of life, and the cosmic purification of life. This aspect of the Mahabhutas wave introduces a cooling effect on this creative wave, which sustains a series of equilibrium levels that helps to harbor consciousness on various realms of existence. This cosmic energy patterns that produce this quality of energy possesses the properties and attributes of being able to integrate itself into other forms of energies and countless forms of matter through a continuous series of intermediate forms which maintains consciousness in all of them. Prithivi, number 5, is the Mahabhutas that represents the cosmic solids within the universe that manifests itself as the cosmic solids on all the realms of existence. The Prithivi Bhutas is the gross aspects of cosmic elements within the universe that expresses solids of the mental realms, the solid pranic configurations, the solid energy patterns of the etheric realms, and the solid energy patterns of the astral realms, and the many physical solids of the galaxy, solar systems, and Earth. I believe you could find more information about that in the text, Nature's Finer Forces. More information on what is prana. Prana is the universal life force of all things. It is the power and substance that all things, it is the power and substance behind all things in manifestation. Prana is a part of the initial power released from the absolute and sent into perpetual motion to manifest all creation as we know it. The ancient teachings state that God or the Supreme Being spoke the word, and this Shakti, prana, moved out of a complete static state of endless potential into an active state of manifestation. This prana is set into perpetual motion by the spoken word, a sound vibration from God or the Absolute. This power released from the Absolute stays in constant modification with aspects of the spoken word throughout creation in many forms of expression. All aspects of creation are nothing but variations of the Shakti prana. Man's consciousness, the etheric bodies, the mental bodies, the astral bodies, and the physical bodies, and the sea of mind substance that all things exist within are all aspects of Shakti Prana. They are only different configurations of prana operating in various vibrational states of consciousness. We want to convey to the reader that the nature of prana as it relates to manipulating it through this technique of prayer, the aspect of prana that we address here is the prana that can be manipulated through the etheric and subtle structures of man. In order to express this, we will examine what we know of the etheric, subtle, and physical structure that man can use to manipulate and radiate prana or cosmic energies. The etheric body is considered to be made up of the chakra system, the nadi system, and several levels of the mental bodies that are made up from the nadi knots from the Pingala and Ida nadi configurations. In the theosophical teachings, the etheric body is looked upon as the higher subtle counterpart to man's physical body. In other words, it is a subtle energy body not visible to the physical eyes, but can be recognized from the evidence of man's consciousness. It is believed that the soul of man uses a combination of the chakras and the nadis to produce the mental bodies and the etheric body, which manifests man's higher consciousness. Then the soul uses the etheric consciousness to produce the lower mental bodies, astral bodies, and the physical body. This is done by the soul taking the Shakti power or prana and pushing it down the Brahmic line of Sushumna, where the full potency of this prana exists undiminished in its full aspect. When the prana falls down to the lowest level in this state of Sushumna, it moves into a 3.5 energy configuration that brings about the basic levels of conscious awareness by creating subtle obstructions that serve to inhibit the natural flows and modifications of prana. In the next section, we will go into these inhibited states of pranic consciousness. Are there any questions, observations so far? Okay. And to those of you just joining us, welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat or use the raise hand feature so you can ask your question audibly. Additionally, you can find this text in the shared Google Drive folder. The link is in the description on YouTube or in the chat, as well as in the email announcement that goes out for the classes. And the text is titled Chapter 8, Mudra Yoga, Methods of Prana Manipulation, the PDF document. The conscious aspect of prana. This 3.5 energy configuration that the Shakti power forms in order to block the passageway to this, excuse me, to this Brahmic line of Sushumna, cutting it off from the higher states of consciousness. This Brahmic line of Sushumna has the perfect environment to allow the Shakti power to flow and exist in its highest state of manifestation. It brings about what is called in tantric teachings as the not whole state of consciousness. This is where the prana or Shakti power moves from a whole state of consciousness to a not whole state of consciousness. This not whole state of prana produces two major flows of prana, a vital flow of prana and a passive flow of prana, which is considered a positive flow of prana called Pingala in Sanskrit terminology, and a negative flow of prana called Ida in Sanskrit terminology. The division of this cosmic energy brings about a magnetic flux towards basic consciousness that sets into motion a series of modifications from this 3.5 pranic energy configuration. The 3.5 energy configuration that the prana or Shakti power moves into is referred to as Kundalini power or the serpent power, which becomes the vehicle of consciousness that the soul works through as involved consciousness or unevolved consciousness. This 3.5 energy configuration of Kundalini pushes the involved consciousness of the soul into states of time and space, which brings about basic consciousness, which produces cycles of life in states of limited consciousness in a framework of awareness that can only be perceived in segments of time as expressed as past, present, and future. This 3.5 energy configuration also brings about the 3 states known as the waking state, sleep state, and dream state. This division in the cosmic energy or prana is division in the vehicles of consciousness. Okay? That brings about a limited perspective of awareness and places this vehicle of limited consciousness of the soul in a framework of time and space. It further divides its awareness into cycles of existence on various realms or levels of consciousness. This cycle of existence is described as samsara wheel in Sanskrit terminology, which is a cycle of rebirth that mankind is trapped within. The divided prana creates a huge desire factor that creates a wanting for unity within itself as one energy, again as a full aspect of Shakti prana. This divided energy flow is called Ida and Pingala and tries to unite, but is unable to enter the passageway of Sushumna because of the 3.5 energy Kundalini configuration, which is blocking this doorway. So it travels back up both sides of this Brahmic line of Sushumna, trying to enter through the vortex centers of the 6 major chakras along the spine, only to be pulled in and reconfigured, recalibrated, and pushed back out even more separated than before, but conditioned by the chakra and placed on different levels of consciousness each time. This Ida and Pingala flow of energies travels all the way up both sides of Sushumna, of the Sushumna line, entering each major chakra along the spine, producing various manifestations of the prana that flows through the Ida and Pingala nadis. The movement towards uniting the 2 flows of energies terminates at the Christ chakra, or Ajna chakra, where it finds a level of equilibrium. This can be seen in the presentation of the 2 petals and the physical brain, which is a receiving and transmission center for passive and vital command signals and the left and right functioning of the brain. So if you remember back to the diagrams depicting Sushumna, Ida and Pingala, what's described here is that crisscrossing pattern of Ida and Pingala as it intersects each of the major centers along Sushumna. The whole upward movement of the Ida and Pingala flow of energies creates, or may I say, describes a pathway of evolution that mankind must travel towards enlightenment, but through Sushumna. This is done through proper soul management of the Ida and Pingala flows of energies. The purification of the nadis leads to a clear pathway that allows the 2 aspects of Ida and Pingala consciousness to flow in its full capacity. This purification of the nadis activates these two flows of energies and awakens the conscious aspect of it, producing basic enlightenment in mankind. The Ida nadis represents the mental life flow of cosmic energies or pranas, which is the passive aspect. The Pingala nadis represents the vital life flow of cosmic energies or pranas, which is the active aspect. This energy formation of Kundalini releases a sound vibration that pushes aspects of its consciousness into several levels or realms of existence. In Kundalini Yoga, it is described as the four aspects of sound. The first aspect of sound being Prana sound, being released from the dormant state of Kundalini. The second aspect of sound, Pasyanti sound, manifests itself in the solar plexus chakra region, which is the manifestation of the first movement of consciousness. The third aspect of sound, Madhyama sound, manifests itself in the heart chakra as the vibratory aspect of the sound aspect that gives meaning to the Shakti power and expresses itself as mind substance. This is expressed through the petals or letters that appear on the heart chakra, symbol or yantra that lists the alphabetic Sanskrit letters. The final and fourth aspect of sound is the Vikari sound that manifests itself in the throat chakra and gives mankind the ability to exist on the gross physical realm, where mankind can translate mind substance or mental thoughts into gross speech. Now we can see that this Shakti power or pranic energy is the underlying matrix of all creation. There's a lot more that I can say about prana, but on this subject of manipulating this all-pervasive power, my intention is to focus on the human and terrestrial or earthly flow of this cosmic energy known as prana. As I stated earlier, that prana or Shakti is the life force of all things, including sentient life. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Let's see. Okay, we're good on time. The mystic knowledge within the Mudra technique. So here's a technique. You stand erect with the spinal column straight and head slightly tilted upwards, as well with the eyes closed. Hold the arms down at the side and place the hands in a clenched fist position with the thumb inserted into the fist. As you'll see the description. In other words, make the thumb. Ooh. No, we already gave it out. The thumb and like that. Where am I? Okay. The impregnated prayer energies are projected through another mudra technique, which has the prayer practitioner raising the arms up to the chest level, which helps to activate the heart chakra to allow a free flow of energies to flow through the heart chakra and extremities and through the open palm and fingertips. Okay, so let me go back. So this first technique with the thumb clenched within the fist, we use that as part of a preparatory practice if you're standing up. When we do the opening practice, which is the white light, violet flame visualization, or if you're seated, I don't know if that's here. Okay, that's not here. If you're seated, the hands can be placed on palms down on the knees. Then after we move into the prayer technique, which is described in this second paragraph. The prayer practitioner creates the proper conduit through imagination and visualization in order to pull down the pure subtle energies and impregnate them with spiritual, selfless, and personal love energies that are used to project and sustain the prayer energies to its target. Okay. So you see depicted in the image, by raising the hands and arms, we activate the heart chakra, the chakras in the palms, and we project the energy, pranic energy, out through the heart center. This technique requires the prayer practitioner to make a mental command to radiate spiritual prayer energies through the upper chakras and impregnate it with the right mental intent. With the correct balanced words, phrases, and sentences of a prayer that produces ultra positive energies to be projected towards its target to bring about the proper results. This mudra is called Abhaya Mudra, or the mudra that radiates huge amount of cosmic energies on several planes of existence when used properly. This mudra creates a free flow of pranas through the chakras of the hands, which is connected to at least 5 major chakras along the spinal column through the subtle lines of force called nadis. Okay. The lifting of the arms, as indicated in position 2 of the Mudra Yoga technique, helps to activate a flow of energy towards the heart chakra and allows us to create a clear channel in which to push these prayer energies through the arms and the hands. The mudra also allows you to either stand or sit down while performing the technique. The spine must be straight with either method to allow the subtle pranas an unrestricted flow. The mystic prayer technique uses this Mudra Yoga procedure to seal, redirect, and redistribute the prayer power energies generated and configured with the direction and purpose of a well-balanced prayer towards a person, place, or thing. Subtle energies or pranas being projected through this prayer technique, through this mystic technique of prayer, use several ancient forms of yoga to achieve this concentrated projection of subtle energies, pranas. This includes Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Mudra Yoga. Through the use of these yoga sciences, the prayer practitioner uses mind energies to mold, shape, and hold the flow of prayer energies together in order to project this stream of impregnated subtle energies out towards its target. The mind energies introduce purpose and direction into the flow of the prayer power. The mind energies within the flow of prana act as a design specification for the prayer energy being projected. The clenched fist mudra with the thumb inserted within it is a mudra technique that seals the subtle energies of pranas within the body while increasing the active kundalini within the body. The eyes are closed in this mudra technique to focus on the imagination and visualization component, which is making a mental command on the all-pervasive subtle energies pranas to pull down into the auric and physical structure and to impregnate it with the prayer's purpose and direction, then projected to a target. Controlled imagination has a unique ability to mold and shape subtle pranas within the mental and physical bodies. It is clearly seen through the waves of emotion that accompany various thought patterns. Mind molds subtle prana and gross matter. The imagination technique here is used to relax the mind first and prepare it to draw in pure subtle prana that can be impregnated with purpose and direction of the prayer. Controlled imagination and visualization is used to imagine a brilliant, pure white light coming down from the upper atmosphere into your auric structure, and then visualize this pure white light of subtle energies being impregnated with purpose and direction from the words, phrases, and sentences of the prayer spoken with great selfless spiritual intent. A coherent sound is evidence of consciousness. Man's consciousness is a direct result of Kundalini, the primary life force of energies of the body. Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness. All things move with consciousness and power/energies, and they are one in the same. The love energies introduced into the projected flow of prayer energies have a preserving effect on the prayer energies being projected. These elevated love energies preserves the flow of prayer energy power from point A, the person performing the prayer, to point B, the target of the prayer energies. Okay. And that is the excerpt of chapter 8. Do we have any questions or any comments? In your mind, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think it was all stated there. To add anything else was just exhausting. If there's no more questions, maybe we can, anyone have anything they want us to go over this year? What was your next set of lessons you want to go over?
I was going to discuss that with you because I haven't decided. Well, Veronica, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Good morning. My question is just in preparation before actually performing or going into prayer and using mudra to have energy move through you. When it comes to the intention, is there something to do to prepare and have the intentions be as pure as possible?
Yeah, I think we went over that a couple of weeks ago, but in this new book we're going to release probably in March or April, we go over the preparation period, which is the violet flame, the practice of the presence, the chanting of the mantra to clear your mind, and then a stated purpose of why you're praying. And then the balanced prayers used in order to create that energy flow of prayer to go in the direction in which you command the energy to go to. So all that is part of the preparation.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay. If we don't have any more questions, then what I would like to do now, oops, let me go back to that, sorry, is some practice. Giving all this wisdom. So what we're gonna do is I'll walk you through the preparatory practice. And I'm actually looking for the diagram here where it's illustrated. We'll do the violet flame, and then we will close out class with the Lord's Prayer. And one thing I would like to do this year is include more practice, if not during class, then maybe have a second class where we go into some practice. Or even better, you could join us with our weekly 12 blessings. So here is the violet flame visualization. This goes along with the first technique where we hold the thumb within a clenched fist. And the visualization that we're performing, this can be done either standing or seated, is the violet flame visualization. After that, we would move into a session of mantra japa. And after we've completed the mantra, we would start the prayer. But for today, we will go through the violet flame visualization, say the closing prayer, then after we finish the prayer, we'll do the practice of the presence. Is that okay, Nimai? Could I do both or just do the violet flame?
I think maybe one class we should go over this and then also go over the 12 blessing technique, because we can share the PowerPoint that we put together for the 12 blessing.
Okay.
So they can see the flow of how things go. And it'll give much more clarity, I think.
Okay, so just do the prayer now then? No.
I mean, you can go over this, because this is if you want to, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, okay, okay.
I mean, this is, there's a lot to go over. I think we should, I see there's a little glitches here too.
Yeah,
So
there's some formatting. I'll have to go back through that. Okay. Well then,
So
we'll save this for next time.
Yeah, and then you have a PowerPoint of the 12 lessons, so they can have an idea of it, what we're talking about.
Yes, I do.
Can you bring it up right quick?
Let me get that.
It'll make it easier for everyone to practice at home as well. And we can get permission from the Therapy Society to release it, you know?
Okay. So this is one of the...
Just scroll through it so they can see.
So you perform the opening procedure. Perform, we chant a mantra. And then we start with a series of opening prayers. This is a prayer for spiritual workers. And the New Lord's Prayer. They move into the blessings. Blessed are they who work for peace, the first one. Second blessing, blessed are the wise ones. The third blessing, blessed are they who love, disciples of God. Fourth blessing, and the blessing to the planetary ones. The fifth blessing, blessed are the thanksgivers. Sixth blessing, blessed are they who heal. Seventh, blessed is the Mother Earth. Eighth blessing, blessed is the mighty Sun. Ninth blessing, blessed are the Supreme Lords of Karma. The 10th blessing, great being known as the galaxy. The 11th blessing, blessed are the Supreme Lords of creation. And the 12th blessing, blessed is the Absolute. And then we also have another set of prayers. Blessed is the Master Jesus, who gave the 12 blessings, along with a couple of the prayers, and we close out. So that, in a nutshell, is the 12 blessings. So let's go ahead and close today's class with the New Lord's Prayer. Just see if there's any final questions before we close out. No. Okay. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that Those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. Oh, great peace, peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
All right, Happy New Year. See you next Sunday.